If you look at mining laws today, they're really focused on fiscal revenues. So really focused on getting the taxes, getting the royalties, expecting that some invisible hand would turn this into investment, into economic opportunities, right? That always happen because governments have other priorities. The moment the fiscal revenue goes into the budget, you have to take care of health. You have to take care of everybody, not just of the my community. It's a national thing, right? Local economic development is a pathway. So local content means jobs at different levels. So mine communities would like, to have access to direct employment in the mine. They would like to be able to work with the indirect businesses that revolve around the mine. Here you have two levels. What can small host communities supply as goods and services, and not just see trucks of imported goods come in the mine where they are growing fruits and vegetables from the garden, and could potentially supply other types of services, like security services. But you also have a wider economic opportunity for those who don't necessarily live around the mine site, but in the country do produce goods and services that they can supply to the mine. The third part is downstream value addition and beneficiation. So one of the objectives of local content is also to bring back jobs, retain jobs, and capture more value locally. There is a fourth element that is access to infrastructure. The mining sector, because they are very often in remote areas, they have to build their own infrastructure, bring a lot of roads, narrow connectivity, renewable energy, etc., to make the mine run. So one of the other aspects of local content is to be able to share this infrastructure, meaning with the local communities. They are remote, so unlock their access to broader markets if we are traders. Now, it's not an easy thing because we're talking about very different aspects. If the mine needs people, this is something that you can actually easily get. The question is, do you have the skills available? Do you have the competencies? Do you have the number of people? Do you have the right match between what the industry was and what your country is able to supply? When you talk about industries, whether it's upstream procurement, whether it's downstream value addition, this is industrial development. You need to build capacity. You need to support SMEs, support your local businesses. It's a long-term growth. I think if you look at the history of industrial development globally, I take countries in Europe, it took them 150 years to get where they were at the end of the 19th century to be industrialized today. We're expecting countries who were decolonized 60 years ago to do miracles.
I think one of the things, to your point, why are we still talking about the potential for local content? And one thing that we heard when we were beginning our journey in energy transition with minerals was lots of talk and these lots of plans, lots of ambition around industrial development, but the actual toolkits to help you realize, to know, okay, we've discovered lithium. Now what? How do we map that? What's the roadmap to get us there? Those practical guides. That is something I think has been lacking.
I think no country can take this journey alone. I'm talking about the African continent now, but we can also look at what happened globally. Europe has been built of collaboration and cooperation across countries. They started with, commodities, right? Carbon and steel. That's how Europe started after the war. Where they are today. The African continent, I think that's also something, a pathway to follow. Regional collaboration. Markets are very small. So as a country, if you are building industrial capacity, you need to have markets. Domestic market is more for tourism. Size of countries, purchasing power. Countries on their own, they won't be able to carry this journey, especially lower income countries. You have to tag onto your regional strength, your neighbor strength. And you've got frameworks for that. If you see how many regional economic communities in Africa, you've got West Africa has a common market. East Africa has a common market. The Southern Africa has 2 free trade areas. Plus, we're trying to build one across the entire continent. So, of course, there are challenges to implementing those trade frameworks, the regional trade frameworks. it's a journey that has to be also built on each other's strengths. I think this is something that is extremely key when we talk about economic development.